WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Good evening, everyone. If you've walked outside, you know it's finally feeling like winter in North Mississippi. Last night's lows were in the 20s, and they're expected to drop tonight, too. The cold can be a challenge if you don't have a place to stay warm.
That's right. The city of Columbus opened an emergency shelter Friday to help those who are out in the cold. Our Stephanie Poole joins us from the shelter. So, Stephanie, you spoke with some volunteers earlier today. What are they saying?
Yes, volunteers say they saw a need in the community, and it's up to them to give back. The shelter opened its doors just an hour ago, and people have already started to arrive. As freezing temperatures make their way into North Mississippi, the friendly city is making sure everyone has a warm place to lay their heads.
This is a tremendous blessing for the homeless and people that can't otherwise provide for themselves. We have heat, gas heat, so that's some of the best heat you could have here.
Leroy Foljam is a volunteer at the shelter. He says 9 people have used the shelter since it opened, but it's likely those numbers can double tonight.
I probably expect more because it's going to be even colder.
Glenda Richardson from the Columbus Community Outreach is making sure people who use the shelter are also provided with meals and clothing.
We do breakfast in the morning and we do supper in the evenings, and we have snack bags. They have coffee, water, juices. We just make it like home for them. They have a TV in the back that they watch, and it's just a very comfortable place.
Generous donations from area organizations and churches around the Golden Triangle made it all possible.
We have thousands of blankets, pillows, and we have food that comes from the soup kitchen, and we have volunteers that come in and cook. So the public has been tremendous help to us here.
It's just been overwhelming with the support, and the people that are staying here, they are really grateful.
The emergency warming shelter will be open tonight and Tuesday night starting at 5 p.m. If you'd like to make a donation, you can drop off those items tomorrow at 5 p.m. when volunteers are present. For now, reporting in Columbus, Stephanie Poole, WCBI News.
It seems as if the pumps are paying off at the Oktibbeha County Lake. Oktibbeha County EMA Director Kristen Campanella says the lake has gone down almost 4 feet since last Tuesday. The alert has also been downgraded from warning to watch status. Engineers say there hasn't been any changes to the slide since last week. County Lake Road is still closed from just north of Riviera Road to just south of Walter Bell Road because the area is still considered a work site with the pumps still in place.
No rain out there today, just plenty of clear sky and cold air. Our time lapse from Louisville, Mississippi shows the setting sun here on their very chilly Monday, really the coldest day in about 2 months. And we've got temperatures now in the low to mid 30s, if not upper 20s already. The wind chill value down to 20 in Tupelo right now, 20 in Oxford. We have a little disturbance up here in Missouri and Arkansas. We may see a few flurries try to come on down here in the North Mississippi later this evening. That's really about it, but the big story will continue to be the cold. 22 degrees for our forecast low tonight. The wind chill will likely dip down into the teens. The wind still staying up there at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. We have this big area of high pressure, large and in charge right now. And that's why it's so cool. That will scoot out of here later this week. We'll have an area of low pressure come on in, and that will give us some rain opportunities as we get into your Thursday and Friday. We'll talk about that coming up.
Communities across the area honored the life and work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. today.
That's right. We'll begin in Aberdeen tonight at a ceremony. WCBI's Allie Martin was there and has more.
Aberdeen's MLK Day commemoration began with a motorcade to First Missionary Baptist Church. Inside, the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was celebrated in music and messages focused on this year's theme, Show Me Your Scars.
We honor his legacy on today by being here. He was willing to do things that most of us would never dream of having to go through for the sake of something that he didn't even get to see fulfilled.
Love in your life will help you put up with one another.
First Missionary Baptist pastor Willie Davis was an eyewitness to history. He marched with Dr. King during the struggle for civil rights and says what he learned more than 50 years ago from that era and from his Christian faith is still relevant today.
It's impossible to do without God. You don't have the power to love me like you should if you don't have God. And for God is love. And he has to give us power to love and to show love. And where you going to get that? You bleed. Well, he said, as many bleed, I give them power. And you can overcome evil, anything, if you love.
After the service, lunch was provided in the fellowship hall. It was an opportunity for people of all ages to sit down and enjoy a good meal. Teenagers we talked with say MLK Day is a lot more than just a holiday.
He contributed a lot for us to get here into where we are now as African Americans.
All of us together, we're equal, and this is just a great remembrance because we all have to look back on the past so we can learn from it and change the future that's ahead of us.
Young people were especially encouraged to never take their freedoms for granted and to also behave in a way that would make Dr. King proud. In Aberdeen, Ollie Martin, WCBI News.
And today's service was sponsored by the Aberdeen-Monroe County NAACP.
Two Greek organizations spent the MLK holiday helping stock the shelves of a local charity. Members of the Starkville chapter Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority and Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity hosted their annual Blessings in a Backpack donation drive today. Members say they know the meals some children get at school are the most filling and nutritious of the day. So the food collected today helps ensure kids have food to take home on the weekends.
Today is a community impact day. It's a day that we look to give back to the community, not just in Starkville, but our organizations do this all across the United States.
The groups collected more than 1,300 food items to donate to the backpack program.
Meanwhile, nearly 100 people marched in Macon today to remember Dr. King's legacy. The first African-American county attorney, Rod Hickman, was the speaker at today's Noxubee County NAACP event. Hickman talked about the importance and relevance that organizations like the NAACP still have in today's society.
It's important to honor Dr. King's legacy and his dream because although we've made wonderful and amazing strides toward equality, there's still areas where we need improvement at. And so we need to remember the past and understand that we still have great strides to make in the future.
Today's tribute also included a breakfast during that speech at the Noxubee Civic Center.
Dozens also take to the streets in West Point to remember the lessons and legacy of Dr. King. The theme of this year is Make It a Day On, Not a Day Off, to promote community service. Mississippi NAACP President Robert James was the scheduled guest speaker at Mary Holmes College campus. There was also a celebration of Dr. King's life each year in West Point.
And Columbus City leaders spent the day honoring the legacy of Dr. King. The day started off with a breakfast featuring District Attorney Scott Colomb. Colomb is the youngest and first African-American to be appointed Justice Court Judge in Lowndes County history. He's also the first African-American District Attorney to represent a majority white district in Mississippi. Colomb focused his speech today on the unrest happening at the Mississippi State Penitentiary at Parchman.
In honor of Martin Luther King's birthday, I think it's important that we talk about tough issues and tough topics, people that he would care about, which are folks that are underserved. And right now with what's going on in the prison population and what's going on with our correctional system, that's what I want to address.
And other speakers included MUW President Nora Miller and Columbus Mayor Robert Smith.
And for the second year in a row, dozens participate in an MLK walk in Eupora. It started at noon today at Eupora High School. Several speakers gave encouraging speeches to the marchers. They also talked about the significance of honoring Dr. King and even sang songs. Not everyone had giving back on their minds this holiday weekend.
That's right. Others were interested in taking. We'll explain all this when we come back.
You're watching WCBI News at 6 with Andrea Self and Joey Barnes.
Welcome back. Louisville police are looking for 3 suspects who held up a Dollar General store Friday night. We have images from the store's surveillance camera. Police Chief Sean Holderness says all 3 were wearing masks and pointing guns when they came into the store on East Main Street. This was about 8:40 Friday night. They got away with an undisclosed amount of money. The 3 left in what police think is an older model gray Toyota Camry with some body damage in the back of the car. If you have any information on this crime, please call the Louisville Police Department or Winston County Crime Stoppers.
Boonville police are investigating a shooting that left a man injured. Police Chief Michael Ramey says officers were called to the intersection of Marietta and King Streets around 12:15 this morning. When they got there, a man was found with a gunshot wound. Ramey says he was shot in the leg. The man was taken to North Mississippi Medical Center. Right now, police aren't releasing any other details.
The Columbus Police Department could soon hire an assistant chief and investigations commander. City leaders will consider hiring for those positions at their Tuesday night meeting. A letter in the city council agenda states that a committee is recommending the hiring that is of Dorian Johnson for assistant chief and Rick Jones for captain of criminal investigations. Johnson is a former CPD officer. Right now he's the chief of police for the Columbus School District. Jones is also a former CPD officer and Lowndes County Adult Detention Center jail administrator. He also unsuccessfully ran for sheriff.
A proposal in the Mississippi Senate would prevent governing bodies from moving monuments. Senate Bill 2068 would amend the law that currently allows a governing body to move a memorial to another location. The memorials covered range from those for the Revolutionary War to the war in Iraq or Native American wars statues on public property. Senator Joseph Seymour of Van Cleve introduced the bill. It has not been voted on by a committee or moved to the full Senate for a vote.
All right, this is one of those nights I'm going to have to go start my car, like between the end of sports and right to the end of the show.
Is it already started? It probably should be. Very chilly day today. Lots of sunshine, though. We're going to do it again tomorrow and get ready for another bright blue sky, but we'll start out in the 20s. Nasty wind chills in the morning, upper 30s to low 40s in the afternoon. We do have some rain later this week. We'll talk about that coming up next.
Your WCBI First Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Let's just admit Mother Nature doesn't know what the heck's going on as far as the weather pattern recently. January so far, more like spring than anything else. As of yesterday, 10.5 inches above average and Tupelo 10.2 inches or degrees above average as far as the temperature when you average everything together for the month of January so far. Now today, much cooler than that, what we've been dealing with. A big Arctic blast has settled on in, and it's going to be really chilly tonight across a good chunk of the United States here. Current temperatures range from the 50-degree range in New Orleans, 32 in Columbus, 27 in Memphis, and 11 in Kansas City with a wind chill of 0 up there. 18 is what it feels like in Memphis. Most of us locally, it feels like somewhere in the 20s here. And as we get into the latter part of the night, and just in time for the morning commute to work in the school, I think the wind chill value will be somewhere between 15 and 20 degrees with a little bit of a breeze from the north, still at about 5 to 10. Just a little bit of a breeze with temperatures well down into the mid to low 20s tonight. We'll get those wind chills. Very nippy out there. So the 4 Ps when it's cold out there: protect your pipes, care for your plants, bring in the pets, and check on people. That's what we want to do when it's extremely cold. And it's been about 2 months since we've had a blast of Arctic air like this. This morning was chilly. Tonight will be very cold. All of this sunshine we've had today, that's our time lapse from Durham's Pharmacy in Vernon. Mostly clear skies across our region. The far north, though, up here near Korth, Moonville, Iuka, Ripley, we are looking at some cloud cover. There's a little bit of a disturbance up here in Missouri. Now moving into Arkansas, eventually into West Tennessee. There have been some snow showers and some snow flurries up there. We may see a few flakes here across the northern tier of the area later tonight, and some additional cloud cover here. No impacts expected. The big story will continue to be the temperatures that will cool well down into the 20s, if not the low 20s by tomorrow morning. Upper 30s to low to maybe mid 40s in the far south tomorrow. Well, let's just hope for some low 40s out there. A little bit warmer than today, but still well below average. Tomorrow night will stay clear initially, then the clouds will roll back in for our Wednesday, and those clouds will thicken as we get into Thursday and Friday too. as our next weather maker comes on in. So tomorrow we still have the influence of high pressure. Clouds increase on Wednesday. It will become overcast. Rain will start to develop back to our west here, and that really starts to move on in by Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, and Friday morning. We'll have a chance for some rain around here. Current thinking on this, anywhere from about a ½ inch to maybe 1 to 1.5 inches of rain. Not a major ordeal compared to what we've had, but we still have some lingering flooding issues out there in the region and some very wet ground. We just don't want to see any more rain. But over the next 7 days, we have more dry days than wet days here. And that's something we haven't seen for a while. Just chilly here. Winter has returned.
It has.
That is a big change from what we've seen, along with, the freezing temperatures.
We've been lulled to sleep thinking spring's here, but not so fast.
I feel like, though, even though it's really cold, when the sun is shining, it helps a little bit.
The sun makes all the difference, but the wind is the big problem. It's cold, but if it's cold and windy, we don't like it.
Cancels the sun, right?
It cancels it out.
All right, Hell State Hoops in South Carolina preparing for a battle at the top of the SEC. More on this primetime matchup next in sports.
WCBI Sports with Tom Ebel is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
Mississippi State women's basketball is front and center on the national stage tonight, taking on the #1 team in the country, the South Carolina Gamecocks. The Bulldogs own the nation's longest active road winning streak at 14 games. But Colonial Life Arena hasn't been a kind place for Vic Schaefer's bunch. Last year's win in Columbia was the first time since 2010 Mississippi State won on South Carolina's home turf. The Bulldogs and the Gamecocks have become a rivalry that has championships on the line. The Bulldogs winning 3 of the last 4 matchups. Head coach Vic Schaefer says the rivalry truly began once his team started winning games.
It's been fun to be a part of a rivalry that's become meaningful. The thing about rivalries is it's hard to call something a rivalry if you don't win one every now and then. And we finally started winning one in this particular one. And so, our kids, quite frankly, our kids will get up more and be more attentive for these games than some others.
I do remember it being pretty loud in there. It was really loud. I remember when we won, we was really excited because I believe we won the championship that night with that game. And then we went and won again in the tournament and just, won the SEC title outright. So it was a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions because we just knew we had to win that game and get it done so it wouldn't be no tie or anything like that.
The last time Mississippi State women's basketball defeated the #1 team in the country, Morgan Williams buzzer beater against UConn in the Final Four. The game right now, it's end of the first quarter, 22-13 South Carolina leads. We'll have much more coming up at 10 with highlights and recap. The game is also on ESPN2. Mississippi State sophomore forward Reggie Perry named SEC Player of the Week. A monstrous week for the Bulldogs star, 22.5 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists per game in blowout wins over Missouri and Georgia. Perry leading Mississippi State to back-to-back 25-plus point wins for the first time since the 1946 season. Perry and the Bulldogs prepare to face Arkansas for the 3rd game of its homestand coming up on Wednesday. Super Bowl 54 is officially set. The San Francisco 49ers set to face the Kansas City Chiefs for the NFL's biggest prize. Ton of talent that played here in Mississippi will have a chance to win a ring. None closer to us than former Houston Hilltopper Chris Jones. Take a look at this guy. The former WCBI Defensive Player of the Year and Mississippi State Bulldog will try to stop the dynamic rushing attack of the 49ers and bring the Chiefs their first Super Bowl win since Super Bowl IV. How about that? But Chris Jones, not the only guy who played on Saturdays in our area to be playing in the big game coming up in 2 weeks. Martinez Rankin, former Mississippi State Bulldog, Braxton Hoyette as members of the Kansas City Chiefs. And then Ole Miss's Breland Speaks. Breland had a role earlier, but unfortunately dealt with some injuries. But hey, if they win the game, he gets a ring. DJ Jones, another guy that had a ring role for the San Francisco 49ers. He's going to miss with an injury, but DJ Jones, a member of the 49ers, he's a key part before going down with an injury. Same with Southern Miss guys, Nick Mullins and Travarius Moore, members of the 49ers. So a lot of talent that we saw on Saturdays competing in the big game in 2 weeks. So
very exciting.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. All right, thanks, Tom. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Sunny and cool tomorrow. Clouds increase Wednesday. We'll have some more rain around Thursday into Friday. But our temperatures will moderate as we get closer to the weekend. So a little bit of an Arctic chill now, but things will moderate a little bit.
Just thankful to see some sunshine.
We are.
This weather is right up your alley, Tom.
Not so much. Says the Florida guy.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it is good, and hopefully dry us out a little bit.
Dry us out, that's what we need.
All right.
Indeed. All right, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Have a good night.